Oh, wow.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Wesley.
Evening.
How are you today?
I'm very
Series 4, Episode 3 of The Masked Cricketer. Hooray!
Oh,
Oh,
dear.
you know what, Wesley? Shall I tell you, it's been a really sad day today.
Oh, no.
You know why it's been a sad day today,
Why has
Wesley?
it been a sad day?
I've had nobody to play with. Nobody. Come on, stay with me, Wes. Stay with me, mate. Stay
Oh,
with me.
dear.
Oh, not a good day today. I will be honest, Wesley, I can't see a bloody thing. But anyway, all
Got your
for
glasses on as well.
I don't think I'll be able to keep this voice up for much longer.
I'd be impressed if you did.
My voice might break at some point. Well, anyway, I hope you're having a nice day and your Afterburners podcast went well today. Who
Thank
did
you.
you have on today, Wes?
We didn't have a guest on our podcast today, but just chatting about the upcoming US Grand Prix at the weekend and next year's calendar. But I did wonder when you had Stixie, are you going to be just a massive stick like a tree? The sort of thing. I didn't expect this.
I don't know, Wesley. I don't know where this all comes from. This madness. I don't know where it comes from. I really need to get out more.
Dear.
Sensible, Wes. No, let's
I
not.
think so.
But thank you ever so much. I can't see how many people are joining. I don't know if we've got any comments coming in. I really can't tell, guys. So if I go off the screen occasionally, I'm probably just trying to find out what I can do with my my sight because it's not too good. Not too good.
You need to poke some eye holes in those glasses.
There would be a good, wouldn't it?
That would be pretty good.
Wes, have you got some
dear.
people that we need to thank or sponsors that we need to go with?
Yes, absolutely. Every week. We'll start off with our primary sponsor, Grape Minds, Graham Woodward from Summertown in Oxford, providing wine throughout all of Oxfordshire. And the winner, whoever guesses first of our lovely guests, will come on in just a few minutes. A bottle of something nice, either red or white, maybe pink even, who knows. Also, Pop Activation, Paul Humphreys, proud supporter of the Masked Cricketer and Daryl's beloved Oxford Downs Cricket Club. And lastly, Sports Shots, Laura and Andy Bone, for local sports all around the home counties, cricket, football, wherever, they're on it.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you for that, Wes. I couldn't put the graphics up because I can't see. It's as simple as that. I can't see where my cursor is on my mouse. So it just goes through. We don't just throw this together. Oh, yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Thanks, Wes. One little thing. Where the hell is K-Dog?
I know. He's abandoned us again, hasn't he?
What's he doing?
2 weeks in a row. I should just take over permanently now. He's gone again.
Well, you're not
he found another Facebook Live to do around about 8 o'clock. So he'll be joining us in about 10 minutes or so. But I know I've stitched up again, or stood up rather, twice in 2 weeks.
Unbelievable.
Poor from the K-Dog.
Definitely, we'll be definitely having words, that's for sure. Right, I think I've gained where my cursor is, strangely enough. So I'm going to bring on. I can see our Masked Cricketer is ready. So let's add to the stream. Welcome to the Masked Cricketer. Ooh, spooky. Okay, we're getting close to Halloween as well. So my first question to you, Masked Cricketer, is Have you ever played at Greyton Little Chew Cricket Club? Ooh. Yes,
Yes,
he
I think,
has
yes.
played Greyton Little. Well done. Another one that's played at the famous ground. Freebs will be pleased. Have you ever played then in the Charwell League? No.
No, not a
Quite-
Cherwell League.
That's interesting, isn't it, Wes? Has played at Great Little Chew, but
Played at Chew, but not in the Cherwell League.
in the Chilwell League.
Interesting.
Have you ever played in the OCA? No.
Not OCA either.
This is interesting, isn't it? Because I don't think we've had this before.
No,
This,
bit of an oddity.
yeah, it is. This is getting good already. Actually, like it. Wes, what's the next question coming in? Have we get?
Well, we've got a couple guesses in already. One, Sam King is asking, "Are you Kieran Bushnell? Perhaps that maybe is that why he's abandoned us?"
Oh,
No,
that would
not Kieran. That would,
very current with the Squid Game icon.
yeah.
This is very, very good. Very current. You see, it is current, our program, definitely. Wes, back to you.
Yeah. Got another question from Sam King. Are you Matt Taylor? We had Jack Taylor on last season, but no, not Matt Taylor.
Taylor, sorry, we haven't gone back to our roots, or we might have gone back to our roots. Who knows?
Maybe.
I don't know.
One. Have you ever played county cricket? No, not a county player.
So that's interesting, isn't it? Okay. Right. Not played professional cricket. So no, isn't it? Is that, yes, it has played.
No.
Oh, no,
Not a professional.
Not professional. Okay. Wesley, I can't see. Is there any other?
We got one from Bunbury Cricket Club, which I suppose might be Harry, I think his name is. Are you ET?
Are you ET?
Have you phoned home? Do we have ET with us? No, not ET. Another one from Sam King. Have you ever played any other sport besides cricket, obviously? Any sport besides cricket? Yes. Multi-talented sports person with us.
Okay. I'm going to push that on. Have you ever coached a sport? Yes.
Yes, we've got a coach with us.
So that's good. Okay. I'm going to go down the route. Ask a question about your cricket. Are you known as a batsman predominantly? No.
No, not a batter.
So I'm going to go down the route of, are you a spin bowler? Not a spinner.
No, not a spinner.
Okay, interesting. So
Not
I'm
a batter, not a spinner.
What do you think, Wes? Ask the obvious question, I would think.
Wow. There's one remaining, well, a couple of remaining disciplines left, but are you perhaps a wicket keeper? Not a batter, not a spin bowler? A wicket keeper? No, not a keeper.
No. We've had enough of those on. Paul Nixon. Come on.
Had too many on.
Too many of those on. So, are you predominantly known as a fast bowler?
Yes, fast bowler.
Fast bowler. I see a couple of questions coming in. I think
we've got a couple more coming in. One from Leslie. Did you play rugby, perhaps? Could that be your other sport? Yes. Rugby player.
Did you ever play football? It's a no. No. Okay. This is intriguing. Where's
Who could we have?
um,
Another one from Sam King. Going down the rugby route. Have you ever played rugby with Rob Andrew, former Masters cricketer? Oh, yes. And no.
no?
No, not with Rob Andrew.
Ah, yes. I'm going to ask a question. Are you on the radio? Or have you been on the radio? Yes. I'm going to move it on again. Have you been on TV? Yes. Have been on TV. Thickens. Whereas again, I'm seeing. Oh yeah, there's a couple of nice little
A couple of good guesses, yeah.
guesses. Go on. Where's I'll leave that.
More from Bunbury. Are you Lewis Moody? Good guess. No, not Lewis Moody.
Not Lewis Moody.
Okay, it's another one from Bunbury. Are you another rugby player, Lawrence Dallaglio?
Who's a great
No, not Dallaglio. Good guesses coming in.
Oh yeah, like it. There's another good guess.
Another good guess from the. Are you Toby Tarrant? DJ plays a bit of cricket as well.
Oh.
Played in the charity matches. No, not Toby Tarrant.
Toby Tarrant. Have you ever appeared on the Toby Tarrant show? No, how rude. He hasn't invited us. How rude. We must have a word with Toby on that. Okay, that's good. Anybody else coming in, Wes?
Another one from Samkin. Good question. Are you from overseas? Have we gone abroad this time?
See,
no, not overseas.
The past 8, it could have been, couldn't it?
Could have been slight change of time.
Change of time, yeah. That's a good question.
Yeah, good thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it, but it's not. It's not right.
Not overseas.
Not overseas. Are you the returning Daniel Norcross? Have we got Norcross on for
Norcross again?
Oh, I was going to say
not Norcross.
Episode 67 with Norcross, wouldn't it?
Still going.
Yeah, still Dave +1 with Daniel Norcross now, so that's still going. It's a multi-series, so catch that if you can. What else have we got coming in? We've got some good guesses, I think, haven't we?
We do, yeah. Just one from me. You said you've been on the radio. Have you ever been on the radio with Dan Norcross? No, not on the radio with Norcross.
Oh, okay. Are you
more good guesses coming in?
Martin Johnson? No, it's not Martin.
Some good guesses.
Great guesses coming in. I'm loving it. Actually, it's really good. And we're keeping the Mast cricketer for as long as we possibly can.
Please do.
If I'm doing it, then the Mast cricketer can, for a little while. No. Yeah, okay. Are you a commentator? I'm guessing this might be a no. Okay. Right. I think people are scratching their heads out there a little bit, Wesley. So,
where have we gone this week?
Where can
you did say a change of angle in your post, I think, this morning.
I did. On all my bits of advertising, I did say a change of angle. So, we like to be current. We like to do different things on the Mast cricketer. Did you play for the Lord's Taverners versus the Mast cricketer back at Oxford Downs in August last year? Yes. Does that narrow it down, folks? Does that
narrow it down a bit? One of the players in that Taverners side?
I think it must do. There's little bit of a clue, I think, in the background coming through. If I can see my screen properly.
if you can see it.
Sly one. No, that's not right. Are you Gordon Ramsay?
Not Gordon Ramsay.
Thought we were gonna unmask the mask there. This is good. I haven't got my catchphrase in, but this is a good hashtag Ask the Mask tonight. It's been good. I'm loving the questions that have come in. So brilliant. Are you Scottish, young man? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's got to have narrowed it down. Wesley, again, as guest presenter, would you like to put our master cricketer out of his misery so he or she can unmask? What do you think?
Well, we've got another couple of guests. I'll ask this one first. Are you Mark Chapman?
Ooh, Mark
Chapman's Match of the Day, 5 Live.
Oh,
no, not Mark Chapman.
Yeah, that's good because he's not a commentator. He's a
guess, yeah.
Link man, anchor man. So yeah, good guess. Go on, Wes.
We do have a correct guess in the comments. Are you perhaps the legendary actor, narrator, cricketer, rugby player extraordinaire, all-round extraordinaire, Gordon Kennedy? Have we got Gordon Kennedy? Good guess. Yes, Gordon Kennedy.
Gordon, thank you for joining us on.
Oh my goodness me!
I've got to ask this question: have you ever been interviewed by somebody dressed as a stick man?
No, that's a first for me. Thank you very much.
I'm pleased I managed to get a first into your life there. So
no, it's good. You always got to tick them off, and
probably not on your bucket list, I'm guessing. But oh, Gordon, no, thanks.
Pleasure to be here.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
My first question really is, how's things been going for you over the last few months, and what's life been looking like for you?
I've been very, very lucky. I mean, over the spring and summer, I was just filming all the time. I was doing cop shows, Scottish cop shows that are coming out very soon. Traces, which is one that's BBC Scotland, and it's BBC, and a new drama from Irvin Welsh, the guy that wrote Trainspotting. He's done one called Crime, which is a cop show set in Edinburgh, so I did a bit of that, and a few other things that I can't tell you about that are very exciting. So I've been very lucky, and now I do a bit of producing, so I'm producing some radio shows at the moment, so that's been good fun as well. But radio kind of kept going right through lockdown. We were making radio even when we were locked down. We were able to go into studios to do it, so that was something that kept me going, because a lot of actors obviously were a bit stuffed at the beginning of lockdown because they didn't have any jobs. So I was very lucky that I happened to luck out and was able to do a bit of producing. So very good.
Was that comedy shows, Gordon, or was it
mainly comedy shows? In fact, there's one just gone out just now, just this evening, one called The Break. We also do a radio version of the sketch show we used to do on Channel 4 called Absolutely, so we did a bit of that, and a few other shows. But yeah, no, it's been pretty busy. I mean, radio really came to the fore in lockdown. I think people loved it and loved the comedy on it and stuff like that, as well as the news and information. So it was good fun, very good fun.
Brilliant. And I was going to say, you mentioned Absolutely there. That was originally a radio program that went to telly. Is that right? Am I right in saying?
Well, yes, it's sort of the group that became Absolutely. We did a radio series for Radio 4, and then we went on to Channel 4, and then 20 years later, the boomerang came back, and we went back onto Radio 4 again, which was great fun, because we were doing a live show. We used to do shows you're in front of a TV audience, but this was like a live show done in Glasgow. So that was great fun, and we've done 3 series of that now. So that's it's been very good for us.
Oh, brilliant. Really, really good. I'm going to take you back now, obviously, a few years, because I think it was Jordan Hill College, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
It was a Scottish college for PE.
Yeah.
What was that like? What did you train for, and what came about after your?
Well, I loved sport when I was at school. I wasn't really an academic. I don't know if you can tell. But I enjoyed sport more than classroom. So I loved playing rugby. I played a lot of rugby to quite a good level. Played a lot of cricket because the school was a very sporty school. And then I went to architecture school for a year because I'd seen the film Don't Look Now and thought I could be Donald Sutherland, but I couldn't be. I was terrible as an architect. So I went and did PE for 4 years, which I loved. All the while doing a show in the summertime in the Festival Fringe, because as a 17, 18-year-old boy growing up in Edinburgh, which is quite a dull town in those days, it kind of went mental for one month of the year, and it went absolutely bananas. It was like Rio de Janeiro. So for a 17-year-old boy at an all-boys school, that seemed to be a perfect opportunity to try and make an impression. I didn't, but we did start acting and doing sketch shows. So that's how it all started.
Was that at the Edinburgh Fringe?
Sorry, say that again?
Was that at Edinburgh Fringe that you started to do that?
Yeah. I mean, if I hadn't lived in Edinburgh, I'm not sure I would have ever been an actor. It was because of this thing, it was sort of like the sirens calling you every August. Come over here, boys. It's great fun. And we all did, because it was great fun. And then we eventually came down to London and made Absolutely. That we had a big break very quickly, which was very lucky. And we made Absolutely, and then just carried on since then.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I mean, was it just? Did you want to go into acting and stuff?
Yeah, I didn't write as much as the rest of the guys that did Absolutely. So I like making things, which is why I eventually ended up producing stuff. But I didn't really see the difference between acting in a sketch show and acting in a drama. But in those days, you were quite pigeonholed and quite corralled into whatever you're doing. So it took quite a while to convince people that I could do things without scratching my backside or making a fart noise or something. And eventually I did, and it was good. So I was able to do both. I mean, these days, people go between all the genres all the time because people realize that's, if you're a good actor, you're a good actor. You can be funny and sad and dramatic and horrible and good all at the same time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just going to mention at this point, obviously, we do the Masked Cricketer in aid of the Lord's Taverners. And if you're having a little bit of entertainment tonight, please go to our Just Giving page, the Masked Cricketer. You can search us there, quite easy to do. And if you can donate anything to the Lord's Taverners for disadvantaged and disabled children, that would be absolutely brilliant if you can do that. Any money that goes into that pot goes directly to the TAVs, and all money is greatly received. Wes, are there any questions coming in, or have you got any questions for our legendary guest?
There sadly aren't too many coming through just yet, but just reading through your Wikipedia page, Gordon, just before it came on, I've just noticed that you've appeared on Test Match Sofa a few times. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, in the very early days, actually, that's true. So I suppose I have commented with Daniel Norcross. Maybe that's what that person was. I do apologise. I'd forgotten about it. It was basically I'd met Daniel Norcross. He'd insulted me as a cricketer with a microphone in his hand from a safe distance, because I'm much bigger than him. And we immediately hit it off because I rather liked the fact he was very rude about everything and everybody. And he asked me to go on to Test Match Sofa. And of course, the Test Match Sofa was basically providing an alternative to the proper cricket commentary on the radio. And they were just watching the Sky feed generally from overseas tests. So it was always in the middle of the night. So it didn't interrupt the working day, other than the fact that you didn't have any sleep. And it was great fun. I mean, one of the first times we went on, at the end of the night, because obviously we were probably drinking a bit during the commentary. By the end of the night, I was reciting a William McGonagall poem about the Dundee Taybridge disaster. How we managed to fit that into a cricket commentary, I don't really know. And then there was another time we were doing the balloon debate, which is a Taverners event. We do it at Lord's every year. And Matthew Hoggard was one of the speakers. And Daniel Norcross and I hijacked him in a taxi and took him to Test Match Sofa. And he loved it. He absolutely loved it. He got well into it and was there till about 3 o'clock in the morning. But it was that sort of thing. It was very, and then it became guerrilla cricket, and then Daniel obviously went on. He's doing very well in the BBC now. But that's how it started, and it was enormous fun because it was basically just watching. It was a bit like Gogglebox in the set, but it was just with people watching cricket as opposed to the week's television, and it was just great fun. And it was at a time when England were kind of on the cut. They were kind of moving. They'd done the really good tour, but they were sort of. It was quite close Test matches. So actually, it was genuinely exciting at times as well, especially in the Ashes. It was great fun.
Yeah, amazing episodes through the Test Match Sofa. It has brought me sort of a thought of your rugby days as well. And coaching. Just give us a bit of background on your coaching and on the rugby front.
Well, I was very keen because I'd played a lot of rugby. I was very keen for one of my sons to play rugby. The eldest one coming through was the one that was probably more interested in it than the younger one. And so the nearest ground to where I live in London was Wasps. So we went up there, probably just after Rob Andrew left, actually. We kind of like ships in the night. And I took him along there, and then eventually all the coaches left, and they were only left with about 9 people playing, and I kind of said, well, look, I can look after them until we get a replacement coach. And then we never did, and I coached them up until they were under 18, under 19. But they became really, really good. They were very good. We won the Hearts of Middlesex First Division one year. We were unbeaten one year, including a 40 points to 30 victory over the Paris team, the kind of side from Paris, and they did really well. And one of our more famous alma maters is Alex Lazowski. He played with our team, so it was great fun, and it was a completely unexpected part of my life. I just so enjoyed it. I loved coaching, and it was something I never thought I would do. I think my son probably suffered more than anyone, because it's not great when your dad's the coach because he shouts at you more than anyone else. But we had great fun, and he enjoyed it as well. And he played out in university as well, so we had a great time.
Fantastic. I've just realised that our co-presenter normally, Mr. K-Dog, is waiting in the wings. He's waiting with bated breath to come on. So I think, should we bring him on, Wes? Should we bring him on?
I think so. Let's do it.
It wouldn't be the same without him. Well, it probably would, but yeah. Let's bring him on anyway. Welcome to K-Dog.
What the hell are you wearing tonight? Unreal. How can you even see me? Hi, Gordon. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Very, very well.
Very good.
Luckily, I've been unmasked.
Yes, it gets quite hot under there. I'm very sorry for being late on parade again. But I was working for a rival station tonight, Woodsy. We had 400 viewers, just saying. But there you go.
Were they a captive audience? K-Dog, were they a captive audience?
They were a captive audience. I just want to quickly say a big thank you to Harry Mack he won the wine a couple of weeks ago, and he said I'm donating it to the Masked Cricketers, so I'm having a glass of rosé tonight on behalf of Harry. Harry the Bunbury, the big supporter of the Lord's Taverners. So yes, great. Apologies for being late on parade, Gordon. I'll let Woodsy and the Badger go back, and I'll start looking for some questions for you. And
excellent.
Very impressed that you're keeping a straight face talking to that fool up there.
Yeah, I'm not even looking at him. I'm just
we never do.
No. It's also the problem's not now. The problem's going to be about 3 o'clock this morning, when I imagine that face is just there looming over the bottom of the bed. And what about when you did the lottery? Ah!
I'm killing you
Oh,
close.
Oh, yeah, no,
That's
that's
scary,
it.
isn't it?
That's it. That's going to turn all our viewer off. Come on, be careful.
I apologise.
You never drew out the right numbers on that very first one, Gordon, because I was there waiting with bated breath to win 26 million.
No, the lottery. No, nobody knew what was going on. It was an absolute shambles to start with, but eventually got there. But there was one time. I'm sure I must have told this story before. There was one time we were all encouraged to do it. Unlike, remember the competitions you used to get in the back of Kellogg's packets, and I always had a thing saying employees of Kellogg's company cannot do this competition. Well, the lottery was opposite because it was so foolproof. They encouraged everyone to play it, including and obviously as the presenters of the show, we had to play the lottery. Sorry, for those that don't know, I did the very first lottery show when the lottery first started. Anyway, we were in Huddersfield, I think it was, and it happened to be the town where one of the real high brass of the BBC were. So they were watching the show. He's a lovely guy, but he was watching the show. So everyone was slightly standing to attention and watching what was going on. And I used to do 5 numbers the same, and then one number was always different. Otherwise, you would have to keep doing it for the rest of your life. Because so that's the way I did it, just to be. So if I missed a week, it wouldn't matter because there was always one number. I wouldn't have known what it was. And the first 3 numbers that came out, and I was calling the numbers, the first 3 numbers that came out, I knew I had on my line. And literally between the 3rd number and the 4th number, the next 6 months of my life, which is not that long, the numbers go out quite quick. But in that, everything slowed down, and it was just one of those, like those 9 months, we all go, going slow motion. And I just saw myself getting taken away in handcuffs in the back of the police van. My children, who were very young at the time, crying and holding out begging bowls at Waterloo Station, and just this image of the absolute scandal if I had won the lottery. And then the next number that came out, I knew wasn't mine, so I was off the hook. But it's very funny because I listened back to it afterwards, and I went 4, 12, 22. And then when the 4th number came out, I just went 41. Like that. It was this big room. I don't think anyone else noticed. And I was trying to explain this to them afterwards, and they were always going, you just sounded as crap as normal. It wasn't any different. It was yeah. So, but I didn't do it that much after that. That really frightened me. So, although they all said afterwards that I talked to the guy from Camelot. He said, no, it'd have been fine. You'd have won it. I said, mate, I would have been vilified. My house would have been burnt down. It just wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, on the very first episode, certainly.
Yeah. No, that wouldn't have been good.
That is brilliant. I love these stories. I'm probably going to carry on this frame then. Any other funny stories from because you've been on? List is endless, but Kenny.
Yeah, well, I mean, as I was trying to show people, you didn't see this, K-Dog, but that picture was there, and I was pointing at it, and still nobody recognised me. That's Little John from Robin Hood. When we were doing that, it was a big physical show, Robin Hood. We filmed it in Hungary, in Budapest. And Hungarian is not an easy language. It's the Ugric tongue. It's it's like that, and Finnish are the worst languages in the world to learn. Anyway, we were doing a stunt one day, and it went a bit wrong for me, and I tore a hamstring running down a hill. And I just collapsed, and I immediately knew what happened. So they got ice, and they brought an ambulance onto the set, put me in a kind of gurney, put me in the back of the ambulance, and took me off interestingly enough, to a town called God. It makes you slightly worried if you're going into hospital. But anyway, but what happened was the ambulance had blue flashing lights on, and they were, why, I don't know, because it wasn't really an emergency, but they did. And they went very quickly, and the production manager, who was importantly bilingual, was left behind in their wake. So we arrived at the hospital, and they took me off the gurney. So imagine I looked kind of like that, but very, very dirty with dreadlocks by the stage I was doing it. So I was just dirty with that coat. And my trousers had been removed so I could put ice on my leg. So dirty, bearded, dreadlocks with no trousers on. Okay, I arrived at the A&E. So they quite naturally thought I was a gentleman of the road. and they pulled me off and put me on this, basically a table with a plastic sheet on it, because I think they thought I was going to wet myself or something. Anyway, they put me on this thing, at which point I started saying something along the lines of, "Have you any idea who I am?" You know, that, whatever, in a nice, polite way, or probably not really, because I was really pissed off I'd hurt myself. I was lying on this gurney, sort of half shouting to these people, "I just tore my hamstring, but the person will be along." And of course, they just thought I was talking in tongues, because it was this foreign language none of them understood. So they literally just put me in this side cubicle, and there was a row. There was 3 of us. 2 of the other people were genuinely drunk Hungarians who were shouting and screaming, and I was screaming, "I've been on the national lottery. Do you know who I am?" And of course, to them it just sounded like gobbledygook. And so they just left me there, and they kind of go, "Yeah, he'll sober up. It'll be fine." And then eventually, the Hungarian translator came in and said, "What are you doing?" He should be, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I was then taken up to get an ultrasound and stuff like that. But they definitely just thought I was a tramp. And fair enough, actually, because from their side of things, afterwards,
like a tramp.
at the time, I didn't see it that amusingly, but afterwards, I could see that why they thought that.
Oh.
I think you and I have, believe it or not, I think Gordon and I have got a little bit in common on two counts actually. So firstly, on a count that I ended up in A&E once. Slipped over on ice picking up the milk early in the morning. I was only about 15 or 16, and it was a Friday night and a Saturday morning, and I was taken off to the hospital, and they just assumed that I'd been out on booze and got into a fight and put some glass through my wrist, and so they did exactly that. They just left me. For ages, and eventually they thought, well, perhaps we'll go and see him after all, and they stitched me up. But sometimes it's kind of when you go, isn't it? And I've just noticed as well, Gordon. I just noticed something really fascinating. Daryl will fall asleep by this, but there's something that you, myself, and Bicester and North Oxford cricket scorer Neil Harris have in common. So I just want to check with Woodsy if he knows what that might be. So there's something that you, Gordon, myself, and Neil Harris from Bicester and North Oxford have in common. You'll be well impressed with this, Gordon, I think.
Okay.
Oh.
And Daryl's gone quiet, so he doesn't know.
I didn't want to say 'cause I might be wrong. I might be wrong.
Go on. What do you think? What do you think?
No, I'm not going to say. I'll move on.
I think, Mr. Kennedy, we have all appeared in Inspector Morse.
Ah, yes, indeed. Yes, well, that was my first ever serious acting role, and it was quite interesting because I was saying earlier on, you missed this, Guido, that when I first started, it was quite difficult to get into serious drama if you'd done comedy. Everyone just thought you were a comedy actor. And I was very belligerent about it and banged on the door and eventually got a part in Inspector Morse, went up for the audition, did that. They then sent the script to my house, and the Inspector Morse script is, it's a movie length thing, it's 120 pages. So I started reading it to get my lines, and I realized that they'd cut every single one of my character's lines. And so my agent phoned up and said, they're very apologetic. It was the way it was. And they said, if you don't want to be in it, that's absolutely fine. I said, no, I'd like to go and watch it anyway, because it's a great show. So I went along, and I was still employed for a week, and they still paid me the same. I just didn't say anything. So I literally walked through the set 4 times. But it was brilliant how it built up. So I started just walking behind somebody, then another one when an extra got in front of me, then another one when I was there. And then there was a big denouement scene when it was too big. It was Morrison, a guy, Robert Stevens, a really impressive actor. So 2 very famous actors. And in the background was an open doorway, and he just saw me walking across it one way and then walking back across the other way. And that was my entire performance in Inspector Morse. So my first dramatic role was mime rather than acting, I would have said.
I was going to say, Darryl, for the benefit of those watching, so Neil Harris, who is a legend in Oxfordshire, Gordon, he played a corpse in Inspector Morse. He was on a mortuary table and he didn't move, which is actually fairly good for Neil, because that's not really acting, because he rarely moves anyway. And I was my role's a little bit more tenuous, Darryl. So the back of my head was seen, when they filmed a scene at the Oxford Mail offices, and I was working on sport. And they didn't employ extras; they just employed the staff at the Oxford Mail. And I was working on sport, and the camera panned across, and you could see the back of my head. So that's what we all have in common, Gordon.
Well, actually, what we all have in common is that none of us have said a line and we've been in it, but never said anything.
I've got to add to this. My dad.
Here we go.
Was also Inspector Morse. So he was driving a coach that was filmed going down Magdalen College Bridge.
I think we've got the makings of a society here, the Society of Non-Speaking Morsites.
Yeah, Wes, have you been on Inspector Morse at all? No, you were too young. You weren't even born.
I've got a slightly tenuous link, because one of my dad's cars, one of his old Rover P4s, has been on an episode of Endeavour. The more sort of prequel, if you like. So it's a slightly tenuous link, but
you see,
it sort of works.
Now, Endeavour, I've been in Endeavour as well. Not the same character. It wasn't like I'd grown up, I didn't be, but I was in Endeavour. Definitely, that was much better fun. I was a horrible pervert in that. So
you played Alderman Gerald Wintergreen, I believe.
Of course, we're on the internet, aren't you? So there's really no place to hide. Christ, don't start reading out some of the other ones. I'll admit to Endeavour. There's many there that I won't admit to, but yeah, Endeavour.
Don't ruin my act here, Gordon. This is all knowledge. I wasn't googling at all there. So.
Well, that's impressive. That's very impressive.
Yeah, I believe it. I was coming on to nicely the. Comedy legends that you were in the shows with, the Russ Abbotts, the Kenny Everetts and stuff like that. I mean, what was it like working with those guys, and who was your favourite? Who really sort of inspired you, if you like?
Well, as a kid, Stanley Baxter.
Oh, Stanley.
He's the reason I'm an actor, probably. I would say he was, and I had a great. Good luck to work with him twice on a radio show he did, because he stopped acting a while ago, but he still does radio show because you can read the script. And I did a couple of, and I've never been more nervous before going to the read through of that than I was with Stanley Baxter, because he's an absolute hero of mine, and he didn't disappoint. He was a lovely man and brilliant. But Stanley Baxter. But the ones I work with, well, I mean, you mentioned Kenny Everett and Russ Abbott. I love them both because I only worked with Kenny Everett once, but he was a really, really interesting guy, and a really interesting guy to talk about comedy. And Russ was just this supremely talented and one of the loveliest blokes. He was just outside the domain of the television studio, and when he was doing his amazing things, he was the most humble, sort of tried to sort of shrink into the background sort of guy, very quiet, and but my God, he was just a prestigious talent. And in a way, I think if he'd been an American, he would have had a very good movie career, I think, because he was this person. He's a bit of a Steve Martin type person, I would say, in that he could just do all these characters, and he was brilliant. And then this guy behind me, you can just see up there. Can you see? I can't do it with my hands. There, the guy there. I did a pantomime with Les Dawson. He was extraordinary. I used to go down and watch his piano playing, because he did it every night. He did his piano playing going wrong every night, and laughed till I was crying before I went on for my next scene. And again, he was just a lovely guy, but very. He always had time for people. Even people come and stop him in the street, he'd always say hello to them. He would never ignore anyone. And he always said to everyone around him, you don't ever ignore. These are the people that make you what you are. So always, give them their due. And he was very good like that. I liked him a lot.
A lot of people don't know about Les Dawson, of course, which he had to be. He was actually a virtuoso pianist, and that act that he did was famous because it was hilarious, wasn't it? I mean, he was a very, very talented all-round musician, pianist, very good singer as well, an all-round talent, and a real legend of British entertainment.
And again, I mean, somebody that you wonder if he'd been given the right opportunities, what he would have done with acting. Because I think you can't be as hammy as he was when he was in the pantomime, and brilliant as he was in the pantomime. And him and the pantomime, the other guy, the main guy, the baddie in the pantomime was John Nettles, and he was at the height of his Bergerac fame at the time. And the two of them were like absolutely as thick as thieves, and they were brilliant with each other. And to watch them acting off each other was, you know, because they would do this bit where John Nettles would come on from one side of the stage and Les Dawson would come on from the other. And basically Les was trying to make John Nettles laugh. And it was the same every night, but it was always different because he was do different things. And it was extraordinary to watch because it was just like the A to Z of, you know, this Shakespearean actor who made children cry at the start. And this, you know, this sort of end of the pier performer, apparently. But both of them had a huge respect for each other, and to watch them sort of come together until eventually they were literally in each other's faces like that when it went well. If Nettles hadn't broken by then, he'd always break eventually, but it was fantastic. It's a great experience to watch.
I read today.
It really is like opposites attract, isn't it?
Yeah.
I read today that they're rebooting Bergerac, looking for a male lead. So Wesley,
No, me.
get your boots down there and see what you can do. That'd be nice working in Jersey. Not a problem. That.
Well, you and me have been to Jersey, Daryl, so I reckon that we should apply for it, really.
No.
I think you're probably a bit too old for it. So.
If they watch this, they'll certainly say, you have to laugh. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Daryl. I've just got to add one quick thing here again. And you're not going to believe this either, Daryl, particularly given what I look like. But Russ Abbott presented me with a medal at the end of a 5 kilometre fun run in Whitney when I was about 15, when I used to be relatively active. So there you go. And he was a lovely man. You're quite right.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's a lovely guy.
You mentioned, Gordon, you did a role in Morse, and you had to go along and audition. Audition for Little John. I mean, such an iconic role in the Robin Hood series. I mean, what was that like? And do you know who your oppositions were, or did you just get into that?
No, I don't. I have no idea who my oppositions were, but I know for a fact. Well, I don't know for a fact because I never asked, but I know definitely I wasn't the first choice because I went up for the part in November or December, and I kept phoning my agent occasionally because that's something I quite like to do. And I phoned my agent and said, you know, this part's gone away. And he said, well, they haven't said so, but yeah, I mean, this was by January. It's been 2 months, so definitely gone away. And on March the 22nd, my agent phoned and said, you'll never guess, they want you to go to Budapest to play Little John on Thursday. This was on Tuesday. So I presume that they probably had a couple of other people in mind before they waited till 2 days before the filming actually started. So I was scouring the papers to see how many actors, have there been a busload of over 6 foot actors who'd crashed and burned somewhere, but I don't know. But anyway, I don't care about it because nobody ever is. You're never the first choice. Some of the best performances and the best actors in the world have never been first choice. So I'm in good company, but it was very funny. But I never asked. I should have asked, but I was so embarrassed about it in a way. I just thought I'd never ask. And the rest, when I went out to see, eventually I went out there and all the rest of them, they'd known for months. So I don't know what had happened, but anyway, there we are.
I mean, you're spot on with that, Gordon, aren't you? Because the famous and fantastically talented David Jason. Nobody could ever imagine Only Fools and Horses, Del Boy not being David Jason, but actually, for a long time, it was actually somebody else that was sort of thought for that role. And, David Jason got it. I think it was Jim Broadbent was the first choice, and he became obviously Inspector Slater in the end. But can anybody ever imagine Only Fools and Horses without Del properly being played by David Jason?
But that's the same with a lot of iconic roles, and even double acts. I mean, I can't remember them now, but I mean, not Morecambe and Wise, but there's certain double acts that were people put people together, and they kind of went, and somebody had fallen out, and they put the next person in, and it just worked. It does happen. I mean, of course it does, because people try and get the more famous, the more obvious choices, and most of the time the reason they can't get them is because they're very busy. So
I can assure you that this double act does not work. This double act definitely doesn't work.
I don't know. I can see the pantomime season coming up. You know, I don't know. The offers will be flooding in. As long as you keep the mask on, Stixie.
He
Yeah.
needs to, definitely, yeah.
I'll take that on board, definitely. That's brilliant. Kieran, you're late on parade, but have you got any questions for our legend that is Gordon Kennedy?
Yeah, I have really, and this is sort of something that I was thinking on the way home. So obviously, you've started in a lot of things over your career. Now, I was personally, this is more for others watching, but me personally, I was a bit of a budding sort of actor when I was a kid. I was in a pantomime. I didn't star. Star's not the right word. I was Hansel in Hansel and Gretel at the Apollo in Oxford, and I kind of always wanted to sort of follow that sort of role. Really, Daryl's shaking his head there. Sorry, this isn't about me, Daryl. I promise. It's really just what sort of advice would you give for a youngster? We always ask it for cricket, but we'll ask it from an acting perspective, from a youngster that perhaps wants to sort of follow that dream. Obviously there's a lot of knockbacks along the way, isn't there? And I guess from my perspective, it's a question of how did you deal with knockbacks? Because I dare say you had some, and your advice to people that maybe want that as a career ambition.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, the best skill, the only skill you really have to have perfected by the time you become an actor is to take rejection, because everybody has it, everybody gets it. I mean, everybody. Benedict Cumberbatch, Martin Freeman, Daniel Craig, all of them will tell you they've been rejected many, many more times than they've ever been accepted. They'll have a golden period when it's all going very well for them, but and everyone knows, around the corner is 6 months of what has happened here, So you've got to take, and also, I was talking to somebody the other day who just qualified as an actor, and I just said, the fact you go into an audition means you're good enough for the job. Generally, if you get an audition, you're good enough for the job. The reason you don't get it is because you don't fit in, or the director was thinking of somebody different, or the person they've already cast as the father doesn't look like you could be their son or daughter or whatever it is. But the fact you get into, so don't think it's you're bad because you don't get the job. You're bad. You don't get the job for all sorts of reasons. But generally speaking, a casting director is not going to put you in the room unless they know that you're good enough to do the part. But in terms of starting off, it's very difficult now, because a lot of the drama schools charge a lot of money, and it's something that the industry is looking at the moment, because they need to try and make sure that people that are not from financially comfortable positions are going into act, because our best actors, especially from where I come from in Scotland, the best actors are the ones that have grown up on the street and bring that into their acting. There's no two ways about it. There's a generation that was ahead of me of actors who were just extraordinary people in so many ways, and a lot of them had come from very little. I suppose people like Connolly, except they were actors. Billy Connolly was different because he was a comic. So that's very difficult. And if you are lucky enough to go to drama college, and you're lucky enough to come out of drama college, generally speaking, don't ever say no to start with. Just go and do stuff. Whether it's a commercial, whether it's within reason, obviously, if it's as long as it's professionally kind of done, then do stuff, because you'll learn, and nobody does anything for nothing. You've no idea who might be watching, who might come onto the set and just see something in you, and then you go on, and because that's what happens. My life, there's plenty of people that are better actors than me that could have done a lot of the jobs that I've done. I happened to be in the right place at the right time. Somebody took a punt on me. Somebody decided, all those things happen. It's all about just a bit of luck, a bit of fate, and then making the most of your chances.
And Daryl, there was a reason actually why I asked that question, because it links back quite nicely to cricket, and obviously, yourself and I have sort of coached and assessed county cricketers for a number of years, and we always say, don't we, Daryl, that if you get to an assessment, that means you're a decent player in the first place, and it's very similar in your industry, Gordon. If you get to that level, you're there for a reason, and therefore, I suppose your advice is to anybody, including young cricketers or aspiring actors, or in any industry really. If you get that opportunity to grab it with both hands and just work your hardest to show what you're made of.
Yeah, it's that thing of just knowing when you're getting an opportunity, because I think sometimes It's not that obvious. It's not always obvious. It's not, you know, for an actor, it's not the Hollywood producer coming backstage at a fringe show and saying, I want you to be the new Bond. You know, that's obvious. Lots of times it's not that obvious, but it's just real. If you're in the mindset that you want to try things and experience things, and, you know, people worry a lot about their legacy, and that, you know, if they do something, people will always remember them for that. And yeah, sometimes that does happen. Generally speaking, I have done some truly awful things in my career, really awful shows, really awful acting. But generally speaking, people remember the stuff that you're good in because it's memorable. If you're not very good, it's not very memorable. I mean, there are exceptions to the rule, obviously. But, you know, if you just go on and pick yourself up and just, if you think this is an opportunity, just go for it and try not to turn things down for anything other than either the people are deeply suspicious, there's no money, or it's politically against your beliefs. That's fine. But if it's not that, then there's really no reason not to do it, because you just don't know who you're going to meet, who you might see, who might see it, or whatever it is, you know.
That's really, really good advice, Daryl. And I think that's good advice, Daryl, isn't it? In all walks of life, really.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about, you know, keeping, you know, if you don't get through initially, you know, come back next year, work hard at your club, come back a better cricketer. You know, you still got a chance, and you know, that's just trying to perfect your profession at the end of the day, and get a little bit better. So,
I used to coach rugby at Wasps, and it was very interesting there, just seeing people getting how they were affected by if they got dropped one week or if they got substituted and whatever. And the ones that took it and thought about it and analysed it and came back the next week stronger tended to do much more with their talents than the ones that flounced off and got very angry about it and how dare you and what have I done wrong and is it me, do you not like me, and all this sort of stuff. The ones that just quietly went, okay, all right, well, I didn't like that, but I'll go back and do it. They're the ones that tended to make the most of their skills. And that's the point. It's not, you know, it's not I'm afraid the truth of the matter is it's not the most skillful cricketers or the most talented actors are not necessarily the ones that do very well, because sometimes they get a bit of rejection and they get, you know, completely, they just can't believe that they're not an international cricketer or at the RSC or at the National. Why I can't possibly do a commercial for soap powder. No, I know I'm going to be doing, you know, I want to be doing Squid Games or whatever, you know. And so, and they get very disheartened by it, and they turn off it, they go off the rails, whatever it is. The ones that are slightly more level-headed and just go, I'm just going to keep trying at this because I believe in my talent, are the ones that will tend to make the most of their talent, and especially if they develop their talent as well.
It's the old adage, isn't it? If at first you don't succeed, isn't it? And just sort of, you know, never don't take knockbacks as terminal, essentially. And I think that's a good life lesson for all of us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I was going to come on to your love of cricket now. Scottish love of cricket. What's that all about? What's going on?
They haven't lost a game.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to say, of all the days to try and belittle Scottish cricket, boy, have you chosen the wrong one. I mean, this one, and obviously that fantastic day in 2020 when Scotland put England to the sword at the Grange in a 50-over match, which was sensational work. There's an interesting thing about Scotland, actually. I read a statistic somewhere that in terms of the amateur game, there's more people play village cricket, for want of a better word, but amateur club cricket per head of population in Scotland than there is in England. Interestingly, the link between that and the professional game has always been a bit of a problem. But we've got a great squad at the moment, and managed by a great Lord's Taverner. And he's doing very well. Mr. Mackay is doing very well, so he's doing a great job. So they're flying at the moment. I mean, it's great, and they've got real belief, you know. and I don't know if you saw there's a fantastic, if you go on the BBC News website and put in the Bangladesh press conference, it was fantastic. And it was nobody's fault, but it was quite an epiphany moment, really. It was Scotland announcing their arrival on the world stage, which was the cricket team singing Flower of Scotland very aggressively, unbeknownst to them, right next to where the Bangladesh captain, and it was unbeknownst to them, I know that from the horse's mouth, they really didn't realise. And they didn't, because they didn't stop singing. It wasn't like they were making a point. They did the whole of Flower of Scotland, and the whole press conference was just quite embarrassing, isn't it, really? So that was very good. But no, they've done very well. But I played cricket at school. My school was a cricketing school in Edinburgh, and I loved it. I was never particularly great at cricket, I have to say. But I loved it. I've seemed to be like a claret. I've sort of improved with age, probably. And then when I came down to London and I was teaching as a PE teacher, we played a bit of cricket after school, almost like an early version of 2020. Funnily enough, it was in that time at the end of school before it got dark in the summer, so early summer term, and I loved it. And so I played a bit more down here, and then when my kids started playing cricket, we played under sort of a dads and kids side in Willesden Green, where I was. And then I got involved in the Lord's Taverners, which was, and you should always do a bit of research. I had no idea about what the Taverners, I knew what the Taverners was about, the cricketing charity. And I thought, that's great, sporting charity. I'm really interested in that. And I got asked to go and play in a game. And I arrived, and Chris Tarrant was there, and I'd kind of known him from before, so he said hello. And there was too many Taverners playing, so Chris and I stood off, and I wasn't really paying attention to the game. I was more chatting to the people there about the Taverners and all that sort of stuff. And then they said, "Oh, Gordon and Chris, you come on, we'll take 2 players off." So they took 2 players off, and then I noticed that the captain was Mike Gatting. I thought, Mike Gatting, that's quite impressive. And he had the ball in his hand, and he turned around and said, "Oh, Gordon, will you have a ball, please?" And I went, "Yeah." And then he said, "Peter, can you throw Gordon the ball?" Peter Lever had the ball in his hand, threw it to me, a bit pissed off. Anyway, then I go to the end of my pathetically long run-up for such a slow bowler, and he's standing at long on, but Colin Croft. And he said, "Yeah, that's great, okay." And then the umpire turned round and said, "Are you ready to bowl?" And it was Mike Denness. And by that stage, I just said, "Can we just stop a minute?" I just take in. I don't know why, but I just didn't understand that it was professional, Anyway, and so there was just all these icons on the field, and I was about to bowl, and it was just nonsense, absolute nonsense. Luckily, I took 2 wickets in the first 2 overs, and so they were very happy with that. So it was all right. But we were playing against. Who was it? Who were we playing against? I can't remember, but it was a rugby team, so they weren't very good, so it's fine. So that started my, obviously after that, I was going to be very involved in the Lord's Taverners, because, cricket is a fantastic game because you can have that difference in, you can be me playing beside a legend, and it's all right, because the legends kind of manipulate the game so they make it quite close and make it good. Oh, yeah. And they know that if they need 30 runs in an over, give the ball to Gordon. It's fine, it's done, and that'll make it look quite close. But I absolutely loved doing that. And then on top of that, to sort of see the charity kind of grow and flourish, done especially in the last sort of 4 or 5 years, it's just been an absolute privilege. And we just, we do raise money, but it is just so much fun to do it. And the professional cricketers that give their time, I just have so much respect for, because they really make you talk about, walking in the footpaths of giant. Jesus, it's just, it's extraordinary.
You've just burst my balloon there, Gordon, because the 2 charity games we've had, we've beaten the Lord's Taverners twice, and I thought it was due to our fantastic team performances. But
it was, of course it was. It was definitely due to that.
Yeah, I'm not to say I'm totally with you. I'm probably considerably worse than you at cricket, and I've taken to the field twice with some legends like this man here, Mr. Woods. But some of the legends I've taken the field with, and I really am hopeless. If you've ever, I think you might have seen it actually. If you've ever seen my bowling action, it is something to behold. Wes is laughing. I knew he would. And this year, Gordon, I put too much commitment in. I dived full length to stop this boundary and broke my ribs. Daryl reckons I fell off the ball.
You don't want. That's the problem with playing cricket when you get a bit older. Is that when it's all fine, you bowl and all that stuff. But what you don't do, you don't remember that you're 60 years old or 50 years old. And so the ball comes over and you think, when I was a 21-year-old, I could catch that. And you leap. And you're about 5 yards short of it, so everyone laughs. And then you break a rib because you land and your body can't take it because you're so much heavier.
I did stop the ball. I did stop the ball, in fairness. And Daryl's just taken the opportunity, Wes, to promote a certain club where it's played as well. So we've had a couple of fantastic charity games. I do know that we'll be back for a third rematch next May. Almost the grand finale, I think, and hopefully you'll be free for that one.
I very much hope to turn up, and I'll wear this when I'm batting. I suspect that's where I've been going wrong. If I wear that when I'm batting.
Absolutely. As Daryl, obviously I was late on prayer. Has Daryl mentioned to you yet that he happened to get the wicket of, he hit an Ashes winning bowler for 6? Has he told you that yet or not? He probably hasn't.
I don't like to mention it. Okay,
no, he didn't mention it. I think he sent. But he did send me required reading this morning, a huge envelope, and I'm sure it was in there somewhere.
I'm sure it was, yeah. Key messages, we call that in the trade. Make sure you mention that. Make sure you mention Daryl hit Matthew Hoggard into the road. Make sure you mention that he did it.
Definitely.
I'll tell you one thing that was fantastic about the charity game this year, and this was something really close to our heart. Obviously, we're doing all this for the Lord's Taverners. We've raised, I think, somewhere around £6,300 just from putting these stupid shows together. Really, it's mind blowing that we've managed to raise that.
That's fantastic, and to be able to do that in lockdown when nothing else was going on, I can't tell you, you guys were absolute pioneers in that, and charity was so grateful for you guys for doing it.
Yeah, and Mervyn Ramsey, bless him, said, it was never about the fundraising, it was about raising awareness. But the fact that we've had so many generous donations over 18 months, watching somebody dressed like that. Sorry, was I pointed at you then? Dressed like that.
Forget the mask.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, and like that, indeed. We have kind of reset a target. We're looking to see if we can get to 5 figures, and if we can do that by next May for what may be the final charity game, who knows? Hopefully not, but hopefully we'll continue.
Why would it stop? I don't want it to stop. It's a lovely cricket ground. We're very well entertained.
We're
losing the last over, but
Yeah, no, we certainly don't want it to stop. It's all along the lines of how long people are going to support idiots like Daryl. But no, it's been brilliant, to be honest. And what's as you said, Gordon, what's so amazing about it is the guys that we play with are legends of the game, heroes of ours, heroes of mine, heroes of Wes, heroes of Daryl's, and they take the same field as us, and they buy into it, and they're such good sports. I mean, Matthew Hoggard, when Woodsy hit him for 6, he didn't look very happy, especially when Woodsy then talked about it after the game. I think if looks could kill, Matthew Hoggard was staring daggers at him.
That is the great thing about legendary fast bowlers. No matter how much they don't mind, they do mind. They really do. Andy Caddick is a hilarious. He's like a pantomime baddie on a cricket field. He gets very, very grumpy if people start meeting him.
Well, exactly. And Daryl didn't help himself, Gordon, because when we had Hoggy as a masked cricketer, his very first question to Hoggy was taking the mickey out of his batting average. Hoggy came straight back and said to Daryl, "Sorry, what's your test average, Daryl?" And that put Daryl in his place straight away, which was great.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. No, I remember watching a Q&A with Andy Caddick once, actually, when somebody asked that question, because his test average was 11, actually, which is not that bad for a number 11 batsman. And he said, yeah, and also look at who I was batting against. And he just listed them. And the funny thing was, at that time, as a tail ender, there was no easy team. of all of the big five, there was none of them. I mean, the West Indies were amazing, but the Australians had really the Pakistanis had amazing bowlers, the Indians had good bowlers, and then New Zealand had Hadley. So I mean, there were all these bowlers that were bowling that we just tailenders never scored runs in those days. They were either paced out, bounced out, or just bowled out by very, very good bowlers. So I mean, then the next day, this was in Corfu. The next day, he went out and in a 2020 scored 94. So he kind of showed
slightly different, isn't it? Facing the likes of somebody like Glenn McGrath, Shane Warne, Shoaib Akhtar, or facing me and Darryl Woods. It's slightly different, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, me and Andy Caddick formed a very, very clever opening bowling partnership in Hong Kong when we played there with the Lord's Taverners. It was a very clever partnership. He bowled well and I made them laugh, so it was good.
That's always the way. We've had a question come in. Actually, I don't know if this was asked earlier, but obviously I missed the start. But apparently you have played at Great and Little Chew, apparently, and somebody wants to know how that came out. Was it a Taverners game or something else?
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember. I mean, not. I'm pretty sure I did play that, but I can't. Honestly, it's bound to have been a Taverners game. I can't imagine any other, unless it was a over 60s county game. But I don't know. It wouldn't have been.
It could have been.
Yeah. No, I don't think so because we don't play We don't play in Oxfordshire's league.
That's right.
I play for the over 60s second 11. We're not talking the first 11. So.
It's great fun, isn't it? The seniors.
Yeah, the seniors cricket is great fun. Well, as we were saying earlier, Stixie, it's just to be there is a relief. What happens on the pitch is a bonus, frankly. The fact we remembered the right day, remembered the right sport, and got to the right ground. That's good stuff.
I know it doesn't look like it, Gordon, but I haven't reached 50 yet. Just say it. So.
Yeah. Our wicketkeeper calls us the coffin dodgers, Gordon. So we turn up each.
Terrible business. Terrible business. We've got a guy coming back next year. Oakley bowler's coming back after a double knee replacement this year. Jeez.
Ooh. There you go, Darryl. There's hope for you yet.
Still hope for me with my dodgy knee and dodgy ankles. So it's great fun, isn't it? The senior stuff, it's great.
And it feeds in very nicely into the Taverners cricket because it means I sort of keep reasonably fit and keep my eye on, so I'm not as embarrassing as I might be otherwise. So, but yeah, that was very good fun.
Now,
Darryl, Wes has been waiting very patiently and very quietly, which is very unlike Wes. So I think that we probably ought to go back to Wes. I'm sure he's got a few things to ask, and I'm just amazed that I've managed to jump in on another legend, a different angle, and somebody who's a great supporter of the Lord's Taverners, which is essentially what we're doing this all for. So I think back to Wes, see if he's got anything to say. You're very quiet, Wes.
I know, yeah. Well, I suppose just going back to more of the acting side of things. Again, just having a quick look through Wikipedia, and something that popped out to me was Red Dwarf, which is something I've quite enjoyed watching when it's appeared on TV every now and then. So how did that come about?
Well, I can just about. You probably can't see it if I do this, but the picture of Red. Oh, hang on. If I do this, hang on.
Oh, we're having a talk.
Well, it's just there. I don't know if you can see it. That one there. That's the Red Dwarf character there. Sorry, that wasn't very good. I played a character called Hudson. Who was Crichton's replacement, who was brought to be Crichton's replacement. It was just one episode, but it was great fun. And what happened last 3 years ago, before COVID, I went to a Red Dwarf convention, which is hilarious because you just think, I've been on one episode and there's been like 14 series, and people just come up and know your character much more than you do. And sort of do all sorts of, it was the most extraordinary experience to be in that sort of a cult that has gone on that long. It was great fun. Yeah, so I played a horrible robot who then eventually there was the last scene of the episode was a bit like Blade Runner, so it was that bit when Rutger Hauer is the robot is on the rooftop and and he falls down. I did exactly the same thing in this one. It was a really nice homage.
Brilliant. I love the wall.
There's another link, Daryl. Sorry, I'm just. So me, did you go down Henry Box?
I did, yes.
So
I
me
did.
and Wes went to school with Crichton. We were at the same school at Henry Box in Whitney.
Really?
There you go. Absolutely, yeah.
Fantastic.
Sorry, Daryl.
I can also say my son went to Henry Box, so exactly the same. There's tenuous links everywhere. So
Very good. Surely they should rename it Crichton High School.
I would have thought so. I have a feeling, don't hold me on this, but I have a feeling that his time at Henry Box didn't end well, and he might have been asked to leave at some point, I gather. So maybe not.
All the more reason to lobby for it to be called Crichton High School.
Absolutely. I love it.
That's fantastic.
Gordon, we've gone on for over the hour, and we take time. I do want to ask. I'm not coming to Kieran with quick fire questions. I think, Wes, have you got anything else to add?
Just had a brief look through. We have one from George Hiley, who watches it every week, and again, this goes back just a little bit. How we touched upon the over 60s, but beside the Taverners. But how often do you play cricket now? Is it just that, or is it a little bit of club cricket, perhaps?
No, I do. I play for a kind of a team around Willesden Green called Jardines, named after the great Douglas Jardine. So our motto is ruthless and humorless. And we play a few friendly games. I don't play regularly for a club side, apart from Middlesex over 60s, but that's once a week throughout the season. I play for the Tavs. So yeah, if I'm not filming or available, then I'll play, I don't know, maybe 20 odd games a season. Which
I do know
that
our club are looking for friendlies, Gordon. So
all right. Yeah, well, let me tell you, there's none friendlier than the Jardines attack. Let me tell you that. I mean, I'm the strike bowler, so frankly, you're in good hand. You're in very safe hands. Yeah, no, I know. I do. I probably play more now, I think, than I've ever done in my life, which is fantastic, and I really enjoy it. And funny enough, I was at the Nets at Lords on Tuesday night, because there's another team called the Lords Travellers, no relation to the Lords Taverners, that I play for up in northwest London, and they have a net throughout the winter, so we go down there sometimes, which is great fun.
Yeah, they're fantastic as well, aren't they? The Nets there,
and open to the public. That's the amazing thing about the Nets at Lords, is they're a public utility. You know, you can book them. You know, they're quite busy.
Yeah.
You can book them. They're fantastic.
I remember we had the privilege a few years back now, but we took our under-17 county side to train at the Lords Indoor School, and it was a great experience for them. They all absolutely loved it. It was the only week that everybody was available for training. Now, would you remember that?
Yeah.
I'll tell you something about the Lords Nets. In the evening, the ball, if you're a swing bowler, the ball goes like a banana. I mean, and we tend to do them at night, so it's 6-7 o'clock at night, because it's just all the atmosphere during the day. It gets very humid.
Yeah.
And the ball just suddenly. My son, who's considerably quicker than me at bowling, is utterly unplayable by all the club that train there. It's just impossible, because he's quite quick and he swings it late, and just the distance it moves in the air. It's great fun. Just don't expect that when they come out at the end of the winter into this cricket, the British summer. They'll be in for a bit of a disappointment. They'll be bowling wides, thinking it's not going in like it did.
I was all wides anyway, so that's all good.
Yeah,
that is true. Wesley, anything else to add?
Nothing more from me, I'm afraid, but it's a pleasure to be on again, and a pleasure to speak with you, Gordon, as well. So thank you very much.
It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. And also, can I just, if you have given to the Lord's Taverners tonight, thank you very much. I'm very involved in the charity, and I think it's a fantastic charity. And if you're worried about where your money's going, then go onto the website, lordstaverners.org, and have a look at some of the films, because they're absolutely inspiring.
I think actually on that point, Darren, if you don't mind me saying this, this isn't a quick fire question. A big congratulations actually to George Hiley. I don't know if that was mentioned previously, but George is one of our massive supporters. He's a great lad. He's a cricket coach, disability cricket coach. And he actually was recognised by the Tavs the other day, and we were all very, very proud of him. He's I don't know if you met him actually at the game a couple of years ago, Gordon, but he's one of the reasons we do this. He's just such a live wire. He loves his cricket. His mum and dad said that cricket brought his personality out in him, and and it's something that he wants to. He has ambitions to sort of go on with his coaching, and it's brilliant to see that, and all brought about thanks to the Lord's Taverners. Actually, the Tavs had a big part to play in where he is now, and we're very, very proud of George.
Well, those are the stories that inspire all the people that work at the Taverners and the volunteers as well to keep us going, because it is, and it's giving people the experience of a team game, definitely, but also cricket is a very special sport, but the way that it when we were coming out of lockdown, and even within lockdown, the amount of work that was done behind the scenes to keep people engaged and contacting with the Taverners, because obviously people especially with physical disabilities, the lockdown was a very isolating experience. They were very lonely, and so those sorts of things were a complete lifeline to them. And it was great that we were able to do that and bring more people into the programs. And as I say, there was a great celebration about the Super Ones program at Lords just last week, which again is on the website, and you can see it all there. There's lots of people getting awards, and it's been an amazing kind of 2 years actually. Even though it's been a very difficult and challenging time for the charity, I think we've come out of it a lot fitter than we went in, and probably in better shape, and remarkably with more people in the programs than they were in 2019, which is, I don't quite know how we've managed to do that. I think some of the staff were going out at night and knocking on doors. I don't know, but it's been amazing.
It's all because of Daryl dressing up stupidly every week.
I think Daryl is definitely part of the matrix of the Taverner's success. There's no doubt about it. Unbelievable though that may be to you guys.
I have to say, Gordon, I've seen better. I've seen better costumes than this. I shared one this week from this time last year when he dressed up as Marcel Marceau, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. If you get a chance, Gordon, go back to the Masked Cricketer group and have a look at what I shared. It was just the intro. I spit my tea out all over the floor. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. I think Daryl's actually a bit of an unmasked talent. I think that he's got more talent than he thinks, I reckon.
Well, maybe we should start the Masked Comedian.
That's it. There you go, Daryl. There's our spin-off show. There you go.
And every week it's Daryl.
Yeah, no, just Daryl. Yeah, absolutely. Just sitting on that. Gordon, from me, I just wanted to say a massive thank you. Apologies that I was slightly late on the parade. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been really, really engaging and really funny actually as well. And Daryl, it's one of my favourites. It's one of my favourites. So Gordon, thank you so much. We look forward to hopefully seeing you in May for our charity.
I've got another mask, so I could come on as a different Masked Cricketer. Don't worry about that.
That will also help when Daryl bowls his bouncers at you. That will help you when it hits you on the bonds. But
I don't think I need to protect my head when Daryl bowls his bouncers, do I? Really, it's more lower down.
No, exactly that. Massive thank you. Really appreciate you coming on. It's been brilliant, Daryl. Back to you to close, I guess. But just from me. A reminder, we've got another cracker coming up next week. We've got about 6 to go in this series. We may be making an announcement about the future of the Masked Cricketer in the coming weeks. So that's a little teaser for you. But please join us next week for somebody where we may be going overseas again, possibly. Who knows? No teasers. But really worth coming on. Thank you again, Gordon. It's been brilliant. And I'll hand back to that madman in a mask to close.
I do feel a bit pale tonight, actually. I don't know what it is. I must get out in the sun a little.
You pale into insignificance most of the time, to be fair.
Yeah, that's true. Gordon, one last question from me.
Yes.
A catchphrase question. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
The superpower would be to instantly get the mask of my choice on my face anytime I wanted. Very important skill.
Very good. I like the link as well to the Masked Cricketer. Gordon, from me, thank you very much. You've been entertaining. You can't see me behind here, but I've been laughing all night with you. It's been so entertaining. I've really enjoyed it.
I much preferred not being able to see you.
Yeah, no.
That's the same with everyone.
Yeah, because he's smiling all the time, so you can't. If a joke bombs, you don't know.
Believe me, Gordon. Believe me, Daryl very rarely smiles. He's a grumpy old sod. So to see him smiling tonight is
I don't
really
believe
good.
that for a minute. I don't believe it.
Ask some of the players he coaches what they think of him when he's in one of his bad moods. He's had a go at me a few times as well.
As a coach, that's different. Coaching's different. You've got to be hard, got to be cruel to be kind as a coach. That's fair enough. I'm with you.
Darryl, I've just had a quick message from Matthew, George's dad, so I can't let this go before we close. So he said they haven't been able to message tonight for some reason, but George is thrilled with his mention, and he said, "Do let Gordon know that George did get one of the awards last week that you mentioned." And as I said, George is one of our inspirations. So hopefully next May you can meet with George. And
well, that's great because I didn't make it to this night at Lord's. Unfortunately, I had some work on. I had to cancel at the last minute, and I was so disappointed because I really wanted to be there. But that's great. Well done, George. And I'll see you. We'll see you hopefully when the Taverners play round your way very soon. Keep up the good work,
Gordon. Thank you. What's around the corner? I know there's a couple of shows coming up and being out soon on British television.
Yeah,
so
I think I'm in Grantchester this week. I think it's this week. It's either this week or next week. So look out. If it's about a singer on a murder in a singer's house, watch out. Watch out for the dodgy doctor.
Ah, okay, good. Nice little spoiler there for you guys. And
no, it's not a spoiler. I'm just saying he's dodgy. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying,
Okay, good. And good luck with Traces coming out soon as well. So
yeah, thank you. And Crime on ITV soon. Very
Crime
good.
coming out soon.
I think it will be this week, Gordon, because it's the last in the series this week.
It is. It's the series finale. Perfect. No, it's a great episode. Watch it this week. Grantchester.
Brilliant. Good luck with everything you do in the future. Like I say, we hope to see you at Oxford Downs for the Masked Cricketer versus that'll be at Oxford Downs. I'm not going to do it. I can't see anything, Kieran. You don't realise I can't see through this. So I haven't been able to do any of that tonight.
He started asking me questions about James Bond. He obviously thought it was Daniel Craig at the start.
But obviously next week it will probably be a different time again. We're not quite sure, but we will let you know with a promo, because we didn't do a promo this week, but there will be a promo next week just to confirm what we're doing next Thursday, probably around about the same sort of time. Are we going overseas? Are we keeping it local? Who knows? But it will be your turn next week to #AskTheMask. And until then, guys, don't forget, if you want to donate, please go to our Just Giving page and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we want to get as many subscribers on that as we possibly can. But until next week, bye for now.
Cheerio.